Greetings, fellow yogi. This is Derek with Denver Yoga Underground. Today, I want to share some reflections on the hidden costs of anger, negativity, resentment, how that's a part of the yogic process, and moreover, effective ways that we can begin to work with it. Now, in the largest sense, we could say yoga is to be free of suffering, which may sound kind of broad or removed. We can think of specific examples of suffering that might include, like a storm or a tornado or a flood or sickness or, having to pay taxes. And in those cases, there's some kind of outer agency, kind of oppressive outer agency coming at us. And moreover, if we take a more refined look at this idea of suffering, it ostensibly includes mental malaise. So not only extreme examples of anxiety or depression that we could also label as suffering, but the kind of tension or anxiety that comes from feeling separate in life. Like, I'm over here and then there's all this crazy stuff and I'm just trying to deal with my emotion and process and like that. And in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna might characterize some of this kind of suffering terrain in one of three ways. Again and again, he refers to this affirmation to be free from desire, anger, and greed, right? As poster children's of this mental angst and anxiety. So let's look a little closer at what happens in the instance of, say, something like anger or greed. There's a more kind of gripping sense of not only separation from life, here I am so right, or here I am wanting this, that, like there's a hardening of self and other. But if we look closely at the emotional resonance of that moment, there's tension. There's not okayness. There's pain, right? So not only is that a kind of suffering, it just organically in and of itself feels icky. And that's one cost, right? Not only are we missing out on kind of pleasant things that may or possibly could be in that moment, but there's just the kind of the raw sewage, the raw ickiness of that moment. And what's more, this wears on physiology. Negativity has like a cascading effect within the body. So how then can we begin to work more skillfully with negativity? I'm saying that broadly, but let's hone in more specifically on, say, anger. And number one, just develop an appreciation for possible costs, right? That anger isn't free. The righteousness that comes from it actually has a cascading effect of negativity that can set up in your bones. And in terms of technique or methodology, one breathing practice is recommended, something called Shitali, it's called a cooling breath commonly, where you coil the tongue like that. Breathe all the way into your belly, hold the breath momentarily, then exhale very smoothly and gently out through both nasal passages. So deep, full inhalation through the mouth, coil tongue. Or if you can't coil your tongue, just extend your lips out like you're breathing through a straw. Like this. And it'll take the hot coal edge off of the emotion, and you exhale. Smooth, clean, full exhalation. So breathing technique. As a general prescription, Ayurveda suggests that we don't go to bed angry, or rather say, go to bed in a pleasant state. And personally, in my own reflections, when it comes to that moment of, do I go to bed angry, I ask myself this question: would I rather be right, or would I rather be happy? Because in some instances, these are in diametric opposition to one another. Do I want to be right, or do I want to be happy and have a good night's sleep, etc.? And drawing from Patanjali, his recommendation around dealing with more broadly negative emotion is, he says, to dwell on the opposite. So if there's anger and resentment, to focus on love and compassion in that instance, in that relationship, as a kind of reflection. Just stop. Just stop. The momentum's going this way towards negativity, anger, and put on the brakes and about face, a $1.80, and focus on positivity. And like, why not? Why not? There's any number of ways you can use our buddhi to frame a situation, and why not lean into one that is more wholesome? Yeah, perhaps easier said than done. Nonetheless, that's the prescription. And to give broad stroke picture here, emotions like anger, negativity, generally are deemed to be more tamasic or rajasic, if you're familiar with the guna model in yoga practice. And yoga is, over time, cultivation of sattva, which is lightness and purity. Lightness and purity. And this is a longer term project that reveals itself with time, dedication, practice. Peace, my friends. Wishing you well in the yoga practice. Thank you to all my liking, subscribing, commenting friends. If there's any other particular questions you may have out there, I'm happy to either respond in the comments or perhaps even do another video on that. All right, peace.